Welcome back to another episode of the podcast where we unpack leadership, culture, and technologies reshaping modern enterprises and global capability centers. I am Sandeep Sharma, Senior Director, Research and Advisory at AIM Research, the Analyst and Advisory Business Division of AIM Media Group. We specialize in providing advisory services around global analytics, AI, and GCC solution markets. Let me tell you that today's conversation promises to be both insightful and energizing. We are diving into the world of global talent, high performing workplaces, and the future of travel tech. This is a very interesting combination. And we will do this through the lens of a global leader who has lived his journey across different countries, different continents, and from building thriving teams to navigating transformation at scale. Our guest for today brings a very rare blend of strategic depth and human centered leadership. So, this is going to be a conversation about the future of work, but also about the future of how leaders show up and lead from the front. So, joining us today is Reny Mathew, Managing Director for Sabre India and APAC and ANZ, People Leader. She has more than 25 years of experience and has shaped organizations across the US, Poland, and India. She has built a very stellar reputation for transforming talent strategies, scaling high performance teams, and driving cultural alignment along the global engineering hubs. As the global people leader for Sabre's airline IT engineering, she is also known for blending data driven decision making with deep empathy. I think this is what is needed in today's times and creating environments where people perform, collaborate, and grow. Her work spans around digital transformation, strategic workforce planning, leadership development, and organization-wide change management. All of this is anchored in her belief that people are the true drivers of innovation across all sectors, including her sector, which is the travel technology sector. And outside of work, she is a passionate advocate for social causes and an avid traveler who finds inspiration in exploring diverse cultures and communities. And let me also tell you that she is also a very good singer. So, Renzi, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome, and thank you so much for having me in this podcast. Happy to have this conversation, and hoping that this conversation is beneficial to the audience who's going to listen to this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Your journey has been inspirational so far, Renzi. So, I'm sure the audience is definitely going to learn a lot of lessons around leadership, around future of work, and so on and so forth. So, let me actually start with your remarkable journey. So, your career has spanned close to about 25 years across a variety of domains, more importantly, HR and leadership. And now as the MD at Sabre India. So, it would be great for the audience to understand your career journey. So, could you briefly walk us through your career journey? And as you do that, also please help us with some defining moments that have shaped your approach so far to leadership.
Absolutely. So, like you rightly said, I started 25 years back, and whenever I say this, I suddenly feel old, but I don't feel that old. But what we are seeing right now is that it's always been a learning journey, right? It's never that okay, I've learned enough, I don't need to learn anymore. I know it all, kind of a thing. The world is changing so much now that it's a constant learning, right? And to me, I started as an HR, and I'm still an HR, right? And I always believe that people are the heartbeat of any business, right? So of course, I early in my career, I moved from doing various roles within the people team or HR team, as you call it, being in TA, being in compensation, being in people business partner roles, managing diverse companies, but always with IT companies, or worked in companies like Delphi Automotive, IBM. I was there with 5 years. I worked with Scientific Games, and now currently with Sabre. And in few months, I'm going to finish 4 years with them. So what I usually look for is, usually, I mean, I was, lucky enough to lead many major organizational transformations, right? And what helps as a people leader is that you lead them with empathy and clarity, right? And of course, and that's where I also moved to become the MD of the current organization, right? And Sabre has been in India for last 20 plus years, right? And my role in the last, say, which is going to be 4 years, has changed over these years, right? I mean, I started as a people leader for or HR leader for India and South Asia. Then we hired an engineering leader based in India, which was the first time that we ever did in India, which happened in 2023. And then from there, so hence that brought me a global role wherein this engineering leader had folks based in US, Poland, and India, right? So managing this global workforce. Then took over the MD role, and then few months back I took over the entire APAC and ANZ role. One of the things that I've seen is the world is becoming one big place, right? It's no longer limited by the borders that the countries have created, right? And I think Sabre also as a company, is a very global company. 50% of the time I'm interacting with people who are outside of India, right? So I think it's been a great journey, and lot of this journey involved many mergers and acquisition kind of a thing, divestitures. So it's been a great thing. Sabre announced a partnership with Coforge earlier this year, which is again a very strategic partnership for us. That was a very different thing that we did. We just the middle of this year, right, we sold our hospitality business to TPG, which is a private equity firm, right? So a lot of changes that we have seen, and we're still seeing the changes. So I think, like they always said, change is the only constant now.
Yeah, absolutely, Rensi. Thank you so much for this response. This actually sets the tone for the entire conversation. I could pick up a few keywords like you led major transformations, empathy and clarity for leaders is absolutely essential. Then obviously this is a global company, and you have diverse teams working across different countries, spanning different continents, US, Poland, India, and obviously you talked about other business units as well. It would also be worthwhile for the audience, Rensi, to understand a little bit more about your company. So, what does exactly Sabre do? What business is it in? Uh, please help us with that.
Sure. So Sabre is basically a global travel company, right? We are the technology backbone behind airline bookings, hotel reservations, and travel planning worldwide, right? We connect airlines, hotels, travel agencies, and travelers through our marketplace and software solutions. There's always as you join different companies, and I've been lucky to be able to join these companies, that you learn so much more about these companies. Like, till I joined Sabre, while I see this PNR in our in the tickets, I never realized that what is this PNR, how does it work? And I had a newfound respect for all the work that goes into generating this unique PNR that you do, right? So so we are basically the tech provider who helps airlines run the whole systems, right? And our systems run airlines, which of course helps billions of people move around annually, right? And Sabre Bangalore, we are around 1,200 plus employees, and like I mentioned, that we announced this partnership with Coforge earlier this year. We also work with other vendors. So through these vendors, we also added around 500 plus people. And what are the technologies that we work on? We usually work on a lot of innovation on the AI, cloud, data science, and product engineering. So Bangalore, it's not just a support center. We are actually leading global product development. And in my last answer, I mentioned that we moved our airline IT engineering leader, right? And in fact, we hired him here, right? So the entire, good part of the organization works out of here, right? So what we usually try to do is, of course, I mean, every company needs to innovate, right? Every company needs to have operational excellence. How do we focus on reliability and customer centric outcomes? And like I mentioned in my previous answer, that we are celebrating 20 years of Bangalore GCC this year. A milestone that reflects our legacy of excellence and our continued impact.
Oh, wonderful. In fact, reliability, customer centricity becomes very important, and especially as a global leader who works across multiple continents, I think it would be worthwhile for the audience to understand how do you balance this global alignment, and how do you also ensure local empowerment at the same level? So you mentioned that you have the global airline IT engineering leader based out of India. So this is a very, very positive move. In fact, just last week we were discussing all of these things at the MachineCon event in Goa, and we were talking about how we can look at local empowerment, how we can look at more synergies, more alignment with the global headquarters, and maybe other global capability centers in other countries. So, as the leader, how do you balance this global alignment with, let's say, local empowerment?
Sure. So, I think the core principle here is how do we think global and act local, right? But we trust at the center, right? Now, how does global alignment comes through? It comes through a clear vision, right? Shared goals with the location and consistent value across all regions. We are just starting the new year now in January, and what we do in January is our CEO, followed by all our leaders who report into a CEO, they share their goals, right? And the best part of Sabre is that everybody here has a matrix, organization, right? So you roll into your function, but you work along with the local folks also, right? So of course, which means that there is local empowerment, right? Teams have autonomy to innovate with their context. They know their markets, customers, and the talent, right? The good part is India is also a marketplace for Sabre, right? Because we work very closely with the airlines, we work very closely with the agencies here, right? And how the India Center helps this is also because when we work with these airlines, they know that the innovation that we're talking about, the development that we're talking about, is not far away from here. It's not US or not in another time zone, but it's happening right here. Right, but we also follow a round the clock model kind of a thing, right? And that's what really helps. So when we do it during the day, we hand it over to our US folks, sometimes to our Poland folks, depending on the different teams that we work. And that is such a beautiful mix of things, right? Where everybody feels they are contributing to customers around the world, right? We of course have created a feedback loop, right? We take the local insights, which shapes our global strategy, and that's what I think makes us strong everywhere. So I would think that leadership isn't about control from the top; it's about enabling excellence everywhere.
This is a wonderful point, Renzi. And on that note, let me also try and extend the discussion a little bit more and talk about data-driven leadership. I'm sure you must have come across this buzzword, multiple times so far. So it would be good to understand from you as to how does it actually work when you look at leaders like you. How do you actually take data-driven decisions within your organizations? It would be great, Renzi, if you could share some examples. For example, any scenario, any situation where data has transformed a leadership or a people decision, and how does data help you in several decisions related to GCC operations?
Data-driven leadership isn't about replacing intuition, right? It's about informing it with evidence, right? Data is embedded in every major decision that we make at Sabre, right? From product engineering, from platform reliability, talent planning, and site operations, right? And I know you asked me for example, right? Now, if you look at the current scenario, right? We know that we are moving to a world where it is moving to AI and using AI tools to make us more efficient, right? So that's what the data is revealing, right? So data is revealing basically that the future skills are going to be cloud, AI, ML, platform engineering, right? But instead of hiring reactively, we redesigned our internal upskilling roadmap and created a targeted career pathways. We also forged more impactful partnership with like Google, and I spoke about the Coforge partnership also, right? And these partnerships helps us bridge the gap. So what this does for us is faster deployment of talent, lower ramp up time, and stronger internal mobility. The second example I will say is deep dive analysis, including we recently did this survey called Denison's, right, which basically gave us we looked at the culture, right? How is the engagement? How is the perception? Any indications of burnout? And we did this, both globally as well as regionally, right? So when we look at this data, we can do targeted leadership interventions. We can redesign what is working best for us. So there is a way for people to give us what is working for them, what helps them bring their best to work, and how do we build how do we strengthen the team morale, productivity, and retention, right? So I will say that in Bangalore, our data guides our daily decisions. Not just Bangalore, I will say globally, data is what drives our daily decisions, from understanding where teams need support to spotting opportunities for automation and improving how our people work and feel. It also helps us make smarter choice about talent, capacity, and which innovation to scale globally, right? Simply put, I think data tells us what's happening, and leadership uses those insights to take the right actions.
Okay. So, Renzi, that's a very interesting point. Do you feel that we are, let's say, overusing the usage of data and AI in our everyday lives? Do you think that there are scenarios where data has really failed to give you the right, right kind of insights, right type of insights regarding the workforce, for example? Have you ever come across such kind of situations, or have there been any common pitfalls that leaders face while trying to be data driven? And how do you, in those scenarios, how have you overcome those or avoided those kind of situations?
I mean, I know we sometimes, when we overly depend on data, we can have this analysis paralysis, right? We are waiting for this perfect data, and then sometimes that slows down the decision, right? I think the key for leaders is to decide, test, learn, adjust, and prioritize. Timely action over perfection, right? Um, Other pitfall is, relying on numbers and losing the human element, making decisions without understanding emotions, context, or team sentiment, right? Especially when it comes to our people. So what we do is, we pair analytics with conversations and feedback. So what does the data truly means, right? Uh, you know, Leaders also may slip into cherry picking of or focusing on vanity metrics, tracking what's easy instead of what matters, right? We constantly encourage them to ask themselves, so what, and connect every metric to real business outcomes or employee experience, right? And I think data on its own can create silos, right? Conflicting conclusions that do not match the real world, right? So while we promote a single source of truth, we democratize access and strengthen data literacy across leadership levels, right? So
In
some
fact,
treat data as sorry
go ahead. Go ahead, please.
yeah, so some treat data as technical exercise rather than leadership capability, which limits its impact. We focus on data storytelling, helping leaders convert insights into decisions and action. I think at the end of the day, the most important reminder that leaders need is to keep decision making humble, human centric, and insight led.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. In fact, when we talk about data and AI, Renzi, I think let's touch upon this topic. Let's talk about overall trend of AI within organizations. So when you look at AI, first of all, as you mentioned earlier also that there's this entire mandate of innovation, data, AI in the GCC here in India as well. So what are the AI initiatives that are there in Sabre, and what excites you? Do you think that AI has a very prominent role in the entire travel tech ecosystem? What kind of work are you
No,
doing at Sabre?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think AI is giving us opportunity to remove pain points that travelers have, simply accepted from decades. I think long wait lines, frustration during disruptions, lack of personalization. I think what excites me is that AI can finally make travel feel human again, right? By understanding the intent, preferences, and context. At Sabre, the shift is to agentic AI, where AI agent doesn't just respond, but autonomously act, shop, book, and service, right? Um, which opens new possibilities to make travel simpler, faster, and more intuitive. It's a chance to give travelers their time and peace of mind. I think AI also excites me because it elevates our people instead of working on repetitive tasks, right? And I'm really looking forward to when AI is taking more repetitive tasks away from us, right? So now, so what that of course does is that now people work on higher value design, problem solving, and creativity. So I think it's a great collaborator, and of course not a competitor as many people think it is.
I think, Renzi, being a human-centric leader as you are, I think you've actually touched upon the right points. In fact, I was in a roundtable conversation yesterday with about 18 GCC leaders in Bangalore. One of the key points that was discussed was this was with regards to the issue of AI driving employee productivity, and most of the employees actually being worried or scared or anxious about replacements, layoffs. In fact, we all have seen what has happened over the last 12 to 18 months. There are many organizations which have reported that there has been a fair increase in employee productivity, and because of which there have been some reorganization. And we all know what essentially reorganization means. So, as a human centric leader, Renzi, so when people think of AI, let's say in your organization or maybe in the industry, they normally think of, let's say, layoffs and replacements. Uh, as a human centric leader, what do you think about AI as far as this aspect is concerned? And how do you, as a leader, how do you help teams, navigate through this AI anxiety and drive them towards the fact that there is a lot of other interesting work, more additional work that can be done. So this was another point that was discussed in the roundtable yesterday, that AI should not just be looked as a tool for cost cutting, cost savings. There could be a lot of other innovative work, as you rightly pointed out, Renzi, that there could be a collab. AI could be a collaborator for you. So how do you actually help your teams separate this AI anxiety from AI opportunity? Sorry for this long
Like I
question,
was
Renzi, but I think this is very, very opportune.
Sure. So when I think of AI, like I was saying, I see a collaborator, not a substitute, right?
Right.
Someone who handles the heavy lifting, so our people can do what humans do best, which is create, strategize, and connect. So I would say the fear is real and valid in the sense, I mean, that when there is a fear, I think it's always need to start with acknowledgement that there is fear instead of as they call as false positivity, right? But what I've seen is whenever there is a big change coming, there's always a fear, right? Be it the industrial revolution when machines were coming, people thought that folks are going to lose jobs because machines have come, right? But what machines did is it actually created more jobs, right? It's the same thing which happened when computers came, right? When computers came again, the whole fear that computers are going to take our jobs. But if you see, actually computers created more work, and I think it's going to be a similar thing with AI also, right? So at Sabre, what we do is, of course, our messaging to our folks is very loud and clear that AI isn't replacing roles at Sabre. It's augmenting them, right? Engineering and product managers become co-pilots, right? Orchestrating intelligent workflows at scale. Where we address AI anxiety is by being transparent. We openly discuss how roles are evolving, not disappearing. Show them that changes versus say them how tell them basically how the roles are changing and what is staying, right? And I always tell this to people, right, that the kids who are growing at this point of time who are in school, we always have this question, right, that what do you want to become when you grow up, right? But we also know this right now that there would be roles that will come up by the time they have grown up which do not even exist at this point of time, right? So I'll tell you where we are using this AI, right? How AI is augmenting our work. This is basically speeding code reviews, improving forecasts, reducing toil, while humans stay firmly in control. So we actually give a lot of hands-on exposure through AI labs, hackathons, and prototype projects. So fear is replaced by curiosity and capability, right? I would think that when people can actually experiment with AI, the narrative shifts from what will AI replace me or what can I do now that I couldn't do before.
And you also talked about earlier, Renzi, that you're preparing the workforce for the AI first world, let's say analytics led world. You focused a lot about data literacy. So is that one way of actually preparing your workforce for this AI first world? Are there any other initiatives that you're planning apart from this? Would you like to share some more insights around this?
Absolutely, right. So what we are doing is, right, I mean, I think AI literacy is the key right now, right? There is, I don't think there should be anybody who should say that I don't want to learn AI, right? And that is across all roles. Right. So we of course we are building hackathons. We are encouraging people to use AI to build our next generation projects. I spoke about our partner collaborations, right? Our partners are also doing a lot of work on AI, right? And how do we use AI to make us bring more innovation, make us more efficient, right? I think what it's actually doing is it's building new capabilities, to many of our customer problems that's happening, right? I think we are building a strong foundation of AI literacy across roles, right? Be it engineering, product manager, SREs, and analysts, right? Ensuring everybody knows how to use, evaluate, and collaborate with AI tools. In fact, we just had our year. We usually do this year end. I mean, I'm sure many companies do this, right? Where we are looking at what we have done this year and what we're going to do next year. And we had a specific session on AI in that, and we spoke about what we're doing with AI right now and how we're going to use AI in 2026, right? So, I mean, we have created these AI innovation programs and labs where employees explore various AI tools and use cases and build their own bots and learn through hands-on prototyping. I already mentioned about hackathons where a mixed group of people come and actually solve real business problems using AI tools. We also have certification programs. We have a partnership, like I mentioned, with Google, and you can do Google Cloud partnership, right? And these are all focused on AI ML frameworks, LLM integration, prompt design. We have internal events called Global Biz, Big Pitch, and these are again global events where employees can present AI-powered solutions to leadership. And many of these go into production, creating that cycle of, learning, applying, and seeing the impact, kind of a thing, right? More importantly, we make AI adoption inclusive, right? Everyone, regardless of tenure or background, has access to upskilling, mentorship, and opportunities to work on AI-led products. This ensures that our teams, evolve together and not in pockets.
Sure. In fact, Renzi, a lot of the initiatives that you have taken for employee reskilling, especially around the area of AI literacy, let me tell you that it is a key point of motivation for the employees. They actually want to have a sense of purpose, and they want to be motivated in such a way that they are doing very interesting, innovative work. And if the employees are trained in AI, I think that is a huge motivating factor for you. And this is how GCCs specifically. Now, you have a very large workforce, close to about 1,700 plus employees, if you include the vendor FTEs as well.
Yeah.
So it is actually very difficult to manage such a large workforce, and given the overall churn that is there, the attrition, the average attrition that is there in the industry, and given the fight for this talent that is there in the country. So how do you manage all of that? And obviously, Sabre stands out in this crowded GCC landscape. So apart from all these initiatives that you talked about, what exactly is the secret sauce behind the employer brand? If you had to just identify, let's say, non-negotiables, three non-negotiables of Sabre's culture, what would they be?
So I would think one will be empowerment and ownership, right? People own outcomes, and I spoke about that we are 20 years here, right? So we have come a long way in this journey, right? So people not just own outcomes, they influence decisions and lead globally impacting work from Bangalore, right? Second one I would think is continuous learning. I spoke about hackathons, certifications, leadership programs, rapid prototyping are, is ingrained in how we operate. Third part again, which we touch, is empathy and well-being. Care is our core behavior, right? Reflected in flexible work, holistic health benefits, and manager coaching grounded on emotional intelligence. So I would think those are the three things, top things in my mind.
Wonderful. And when we talk about employee culture, organizational culture, how do you actually measure culture? Do you think it is very difficult to measure? Are there any specific behavioral signals that Sabre measures? What exactly how do you measure culture in your organization?
So one, of course, I spoke about a survey, Denison survey that we did recently, right? Which of course give us a lot of data, which lets people give us, tell us things anonymously as well, right? But apart from that kind of a survey, if I look at the behavioral part of it, right? When I look at the innovation velocity, right? How many ideas have come through our hackathons, which I was talking about? How many of them are gone into production? Right, how many of our we have a very strong internship program. It's called Hypergem, right? We hire close to around 50 people every year in our internship, right? So how many senior leaders are consistently, being mentors of these interns, right? How many innovation events are we participating in? The other thing which we know is that we are in a workforce right now which is multi generational, right? We have four different generations that are working, right? So again, the measurement can be on cross generational collaboration, right? Are they able to mix together naturally? We deliberately try to create these teams, right? Where people from different generations are working together, right? We do have mentoring programs, but of course, you would have heard of reverse mentoring also, right? So we have actually increased our reverse mentoring because there is so much to learn from our new folks, right?
Yeah.
So we look at that, our senior leaders learning from our junior folks, right? And this can be on Gen AI, this can be on new frameworks, so lot of those things. The other thing which we also check is internal mobility, right? Our people. So one of the things that we do is all our open positions get posted, right? It's available on our career website. It's available to the mailers that we send out monthly, right? And we have not uh, have an upper limit or a tenure mentioned of when you can move to another team, right? So people can move between the teams. We also have something called check-in conversations where a manager meets a team member every month on a check-in conversation. And some of these conversations, we tell them to have these conversations on career, right? And kind of build a individual development plan for the person, and not just build it, but as a manager, how will you help this person grow, right? So we have managers who help people move between the different teams, so so that they can learn different things which is going to help them grow, right? We also have a lot of knowledge sharing behaviors, so lot of folks coming in. And when I say knowledge sharing sessions, is not just in India, they happen globally, right? How do they contribute to the communities of practice, voluntary knowledge transfer, so to me, many of these are signals, right, that people are engaged, and these are the ones which actually form the culture. Hopefully that answers what you're looking for.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So Renzi, you are an industry veteran. So I think we have all talked about very positive points right now. So let's look at what are some practices which have become outdated, especially from an employee experience standpoint, employee engagement standpoint. So what are some outdated practices that leaders should immediately stop?
I would think, I mean, earlier, learning was used to be a check in the box kind of a thing, right? Like an HR initiative that you have. I mean, I'm not against the number of hours kind of a thing. I think it's a great goal to have, but employees shouldn't feel that it's a check in the box kind of a thing. I think we need to encourage them that there is no choice but to learn, right? With the right
That
examples.
is for your own benefit. That is for your own benefit as well. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely right. And the other thing which you of course I would have heard of is hyper personalization on benefits, right? And I spoke about the multi generation workforce, right? And so all these generation folks look for various things. So we can't have a one size fits all kind of employee benefits anymore, right? So that's another thing which has changed. I would think, right? And the third thing which is very important is that I mean, many years back I used to see that when you're writing somebody's reason for recognition, you will say worked long hours, worked weekend, so we were rewarding those, right? I mean, while I know that where it comes from, but when people read it or employees read it, we are kind of telling them that, oh, I'm expecting you to work longer hours or work weekends, are, how, so the how we reward people needs to change, right? And I think it has changed over the last couple of, years, right? How do we bring in more trust, fairness, and retention, right? I think what we need to do is, and I always tell this to my leaders, right? I think we cannot be doing reactive retention, right? That somebody has resigned and then you're trying to retain the person, because if the person has resigned, the person, you have already lost the person, right? So how do we, proactively work on, retention? And I spoke about the check-in conversations, right? Which are basically career conversations, growth opportunities, and meaningful work, right? And I don't think a lot of people look at HR as the policy keeper, and they think that culture lives in policies, right? I think it lives in behaviors, and leaders must model them consistently.
So Renzi, I have actually taken very copious notes. I was actually, going through some of these points that I've taken down. This is, in fact, like a master class for not just for me as, people's manager myself. I'm sure the audience would definitely love all of this, all of these points. All of this is very helpful across different areas of team management, talent management for me. Thank you so much for sharing all of these insights. Let us have a quick rapid fire fun segment. So I think so. Let's start with that. So, what is that one book in tech or business that everyone should read, according to you?
I mean, I am somebody who, there are two kinds of books I read, and some might think that it's quite boring, right? One, I really love, biographies or autobiographies, right? Because I feel that there is so much to learn from somebody else's life, right? How, what they have gone through. So there are multiple folks that I read their autobiographies and learn from them, right? Second thing is on the leadership part of it, right? I think we are moving towards, servant leadership, right? That we are not here to lead people, but we are here to guide people in the right path, right? And when somebody asks me what is your leadership style, and I always tell them that, that's again a very old concept, right? I think we are living in this world where your leadership style needs to change based on the circumstances that you are thrown into, right? So there is, like I was saying, there is no one size fits all anymore. So so I read a lot of management books. I do spend a lot of time in reading articles by folks, different podcasts, and of course you are also creating the same knowledge base for people to go through. And I also attend a lot of conferences, and that's just for us to be updated on what's happening around and what do we need to change that aligns with where the world is moving, and the world is moving really fast.
So, what's your favorite book, Renzi? What's the favorite book that you've read this year that even I should read?
I would say, like, I mean, I personally, I'll tell you that I really liked Michelle Obama's autobiography, right? I think that came few years back, right? And I really liked, because she took us to the whole journey of how her life changed from her, from starting from her childhood, right? From how it changed when she became, the first lady of US, right? So I really like that book.
Okay, sure, wonderful. The next question in the rapid fire: a workplace habit that you can't tolerate.
I would think I would say that that's a lot of politics, right? I'm not a big fan of gossiping either, right? So I think what we need to do is, and I'm a believer of over communication, right? I think over communication is way better than under communication, right? I think how can we be more transparent with folks, right? So I feel that if you are more transparent, automatically your rumor mills will get killed, right? Because people have the information. And I think, like I was saying, how the leadership styles have changed now. All companies have an open door kind of a policy where everybody can reach out to everybody else, right? And I think I have seen a huge generational change itself. If you now meet the current Gen Zs, and we like I said, we hire close to 50 interns every year, right? And I absolutely love their confidence, right? I mean, I remember when I would have started off, right? I mean, I could never speak to any of the senior leaders. Will probably not even open, have the courage to that your eyes meet the leaders. Your eyes will be here and there, or you'll hide yourself somewhere, kind of a thing, right? And I really like the confidence which they come with, right? They want to do great work, but they believe in lifting others along with them, right? They're not just
I
busy in
agree
their
with that
own
point.
world.
I completely
Yeah.
agree with that concurrency. Long back when I was interning with TÜV Rheinland, TUV Rheinland, one of the key responsibilities for me as an intern in the central marketing team was to interact with the CEO. He was a German national, and imagine a fresher interacting with the CEO of a German national. So the first few weeks were actually terrible for me. But the confidence that the interns have, I have a couple of interns in my team right now. The confidence that these guys exhibit, it is absolutely amazing. This is something for us to learn. Okay, so let's move on to the next question, which is, I think you're a travel buff, Renzi. So, any place in the world that has changed you, that has inspired you, influenced you?
I absolutely love all the culture, the food, and meeting different people across the world, right? And I don't know if there's a place which has changed me, but I really when I go to different places, right, meet different people, I realize that our value systems are just the same, right? Even if how we celebrate, what we speak, what we eat may be different, but the value systems are so similar, right? And I think the love, the empathy, the caring is a base of every country, right? So it's just so nice to see that when you are in other countries, that people are so open hearted and they want to welcome you, they want to help you with things. And it's just so nice to see that, right? I actually feel that the world is moving, like I was saying previously also. I think the borders are blurring for me, right? I think even if we have those borders for all the practical reasons, right, I think we are moving towards this one big family or a world, whichever we want to see it.
And don't you think that that is wonderfully reflected in the GCC setup at Sabre as well? So,
Absolutely. Yeah, you're absolutely right. In fact, this week itself, I was talking about this airline IT engineering, and we had this offsite where leaders from US, India, and it's a small group, just say 14 of us, leaders from India, US, and Poland came in together. Right? It was such a beautiful thing to meet in person and share ideas and understand the cultural differences, and we sharing them how is India, and of course hospitality that you see in India, kind of a thing. So we had a great time. We of course spoke about what we want to do in 2026, and some of the questions that you asked me, we discussed many of these questions, right? About AI, be it about what do we want to achieve, how do we bring people together, how do we improve our culture, how do we increase our productivity, so a lot of these questions which you asked today, we discussed those in our offsite as well.
so in fact, if you look at some of the reports, Renzi, from MIT or maybe any other reports, it could be academic articles or it could be any industry-specific reports, including the reports which are being written by AIM Research. The key blocker for any technology initiative or any innovation is culture, organizational culture, resistance to change. So people actually forget that employee plus tools is the key for success. Organizations just focus on tools and forget the employee part. That is the saddest thing.
Absolutely. That's right.
Okay. Okay. So let me just ask you a couple of closing questions. So your comments on the future for Sabre India. So what do you what do you think about the next chapter for Sabre and for India's GCC story?
No, I think Sabre is entering a defining moment where technology, talent, and purpose come together to reshape global travel. Right, like I mentioned, the Bangalore GCC is of course a strategic innovation hub, owning core products, AI initiatives, and various mission critical systems. So we are not just executing global work. We are shaping global technology roadmaps and in influencing enterprise strategy, right? um, Rise of, I mean, I spoke about the rise of global leadership roles being successfully run from India, shows that the world confidence on Indian capability, right? So I think Indian GCCs have moved away from being the delivery centers to value creators, right? Innovators and co-owners of business outcome. I would think the next decade positions India to emerge as a global capital for AI-driven innovation, not just a cost-competitive talent market. What excites me most is the human potential behind all this, the ambition, curiosity, and resilience of India's talent across generation. We're not just building technology; we are building capabilities, careers, and long-term global legacy from right here in Bangalore.
The energy from leaders like you is actually quite energizing. In fact, this is the common theme that I've been hearing from a lot of other GCC leaders, including yesterday. So I told you I met 18 GCC leaders yesterday.
Yeah.
Almost everybody is echoing the same sentiment that the global roles are moving here. There's a lot of capability that is being built out here. No longer are GCCs considered to be just delivery centers. They're moving capabilities here, bridging and closing all capability gaps that are out there globally. One leader mentioned to me at MachineCon, Renzi, that this is not a GCC. This is just another office that the company has. So the company might have, let's say, offices in, let's say, France or Germany, and even in India. So they're not calling it as a pure, let's say, global support center or anything like that. It is just like any other center that it has, with equal responsibility, with let's say equal roles and so on and so forth. That is one of the most wonderful things that has been mentioned. Okay, so just one quick point. What is the message that you want every listener of this podcast? It could be, let's say, leaders. I'm sure there are lots of lessons for leaders like me and leaders of other GCCs. In fact, a lot of leaders based in, let's say, overseas countries who want to set up GCCs, who want to scale up their, let's say, so-called mini GCCs, nano GCCs. A lot of lessons for them as well. But obviously, there are a lot of lessons for students, engineers, or even entrepreneurs. So, what would be your key message that you would want to pass on as as a closing comment?
So there is a message I will leave you with, and because we spoke about AI, right? AI may accelerate the work, but humans will always define the meaning. Right? Your empathy, judgment, courage, creativity, and integrity are the differentiators, right? That no machine can replicate, right? As AI becomes more powerful, the world will need more people who can stay curious, stay adaptable, stay deeply human. Let data guide you, let AI support you, but let your values lead you. Because the future belongs to those who blend intelligence with empathy, technology with purpose, and speed with meaning. And that is something that India's talent is uniquely poised to do.
Excellent, Renzi. So let your values guide you and be more empathic and be more human centric. So that's the core message. So thank you so much, Renzi, for taking the time and interacting with me. This has been a wonderful podcast. And as I said earlier, Renzi, that this has been a masterclass in leadership, in talent management, employee experience. And obviously, we have learned some interesting insights about Sabre's business. What mandates are you trying to serve here? What is the overall strategy, and so on and so forth. It has been wonderful speaking to you. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you have also enjoyed this session.
Absolutely, Sandeep. I think it's an honor to be part of this conversation, right? And I'm hoping that there are insights that people are going to learn from this and will inspire more companies to come and open their offices in India. right? Because like you rightly said, right, we are here, helping each other to be successful, right? So that's the world we are talking about.
Great. Thank you so much, Rensi. So, as we wrap up today's conversation, there is one theme which stands out very, very clearly. The future, as Renzi said, belongs to leaders and engineers and employees who can blend intelligence with empathy, technology with purpose. And obviously, Renzi also mentioned that there's this theme of global alignment, global vision with local empowerment. Her insights actually remind us that AI could be the collaborator, could be the augmentator, but it is the people who accelerate outcomes, and culture remains the ultimate differentiator. And her journey over the last 25 years actually demonstrates that uh, it becomes possible to take data driven decisions when you actually take human centric decisions. So, that is the most important thing. Thank you for joining us, and we hope that this discussion inspires you to rethink how you lead, learn, and more importantly, build in a rapidly changing world. I have personally learned a lot of lessons, and I'm sure you would definitely have a lot of takeaways from this particular session. So, in Renzi's words, I think she mentioned some of these. Stay curious, stay bold, and join us next time as we explore more stories with more leaders shaping the work of shaping the future of work and technology. Thank you so much for your time. This is Sandeep Sharma signing off until we meet next time. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.